Hello viewers, tutorial 1, question 4, and this is what we need to do. But before we make a start, let's have a look at what is on our formula sheet that will help us. So we have the following. We have x to the m times x to the n equals x to the m plus n. We have x to the m over x to the n equals x to the m minus n. We have x to the m, all of that to the power of n equals x to the m times n. And one other thing that we might need to use is the nth root of x to the n is x to the n over m. Okay, so those are on our formula sheet, which we will need to use to solve this question, to simplify it as fully as possible. So we'll worry about that cube root at the end, but so what we'll do first is we'll deal with these brackets on the top and on our bottom. Now we've got powers inside the bracket and powers outside the bracket, so it's looking something like an x to the m to the n. So we've got the cube root of x to the power of, what's the power of x on top? We can multiply our 11 times 3, so we get x to the 33 on the top. And what will that make our power of y? 2 times 3 gives us y to the power of 6. We'll do the same thing on the bottom. We've got x squared to the 4. So 2 times 4 there, that's going to give us 8 is the power of x on the bottom. And we have y to the power of 14 times 4 is 56. So that's going to be cube root of... So the next rule we're going to use is we have something that looks like an x to the m over x to the n, which would be that part there. And that tells us, this rule tells us that we can subtract the powers. So which power is the bigger one? That's the one on the top. So we will end up with an x on the top, and the power will be 33 minus 8 is 25 over, because y, where will it go? Well, the bigger power is on the bottom, so that will be 56 minus 6 is 50, y to the 50 on the bottom. Okay, so the cube root, we can think of this being in its own bracket, all to the power of 1, and then we have something that looks like this. So in this case, n is 1, and m is 3, and our x is this big whole bracket. So we can write this as x to the 25 over y to the 50, all of that to the power of n over m, which is 1/3, which is going to be x to the, now we're back into your x to the m to the n, which means power inside the brackets with 1 outside can be multiplied. 25 times 1 over 3 is 25 over 3. And on the bottom, same thing, y to the 50 times 1/3 is 50 over 3. So we get x to the 25 over 3 over y to the 50 over 3. So that's simplified. We only have one x appearing, and we only have one y appearing, which is what we want. Okay, so now that's question A done. Question B, we have to simplify the square root of x to the 4y cubed over 9x to the 6y to the power of 5. So we'll do the same thing, we'll do the same steps, but before we do that, what I usually do is separate the number part from the letter part. So let's separate out that 9. So we have the 9 is on the bottom, it's got to stay on the bottom, and it's also got to stay under a square root. And we've got the remainder under the second square root. So we've got, that's a cube over what's left on the bottom is x to the 6, y to the 5. Now the cube root of 1 over 9, the square root of 1 over 9, sorry, so that's going to be square root of 1, which is 1 over square root of 9 is 3. So that's 1/3 as the number out the front. And let's deal with what's on the top there. So it's going to be square root of, so we can multiply our powers. We've got x to the power of 4 times that's a 3, which is 12. And y to the 1, we've got a power of 1 there. So that's y to the power of 3 divided by x to the 6 and y to the power of 5. So this is going to be 1/3 of, we can subtract our powers, which is going to be x to the power of 12 minus 6, which is going to be x to the 6 on the top, and y to the power of 2 on the bottom. Bigger power of y is on the bottom, and subtracting the powers, 5 minus 3 gives us 2. Now the square root, so if there is no value here, and we can imagine all of this bracket to the power of 1, if there's nothing here, assume that's a 2. So this is going to be 1/3 times x to the power of 6 divided by y squared to the power of 1/2. Square root is the same thing as a power of 1/2. So that gives us the cube 1/3 of, now when we multiply these powers, 6 times a half is 3, so this is going to be x to the 3 divided by y, or we could write this as x cubed divided by 3y as our final answer. Okay, thanks for watching, over and out.